Subscribe to Chug Chow wherever you get your podcasts or visit chugandchow.com.
All right, let's do it. Welcome to Chug and Chow. Thank you very much for being here. I'm Todd Newton, and this is the podcast based on my book, Chug and Chow, the Tattooed Traveler's 50 Favorite Dive Bars and Food Joints Across America. You're in good hands here. I take you on a mouth-watering adventure across this country of ours, one unforgettable eatery at a time. Glad you're joining us. A never-ending quest to find those quirky diners, funky dives, and all-in one-of-a-kind kitchens that are packed with stories as rich and as delicious as the food they present before you. Now, if you've ever wondered what makes America's food scene truly great, you know it's not just the big city hotspots with those long waiting lists, right? It's those out-of-the-way places with a little bit of attitude, just enough. A little grit, a lot of heart, and enough character to stick with you long after the meal is over. And here on Chug and Chow, we get behind the counter with the folks who make those meals happen. We dig into the backstories of the places and the people who pour their souls into every bite and every brew, creating memories fresh every day. And this week, I'm taking you to Syracuse, New York, and Funk N Waffles. Funk N Waffles. Is that a great name or what? Yep, we're going up to the Northeast, to the heart of upstate New York, to a city that's famous for snow, salt, and resilience. Syracuse. Now, let me set the scene here. Syracuse sits at the crossroads of the old Erie Canal and the railroad boom, a city built on salt mines, steel mills, and the sweat of immigrants from all over the world. Syracuse is a place that has seen booms and busts, blizzards that could bury your car in a single night, and summers that are so green and so sweet, you'll swear you're walking through maple syrup. Home to Syracuse University and their legendary orange, it's a city with a proud working-class spirit and a real knack for reinvention. And nothing sums up that inventiveness and soul quite like our featured spot for this episode, Funk N Waffles. It's not just a place to eat, friends. This place is an experience that moves and grooves. Funk N Waffles is the delectable brainchild of owner Adam Gold, who we will speak to in just a moment. Adam started out as a college student at Syracuse University, just looking to throw a great party with his buddy. But we all know those college dreams can be sticky, messy, and if you get it just right, oh, they can be delicious. And what started out as a wild idea in a college dorm room, a party with live music and outrageous waffles, grew into a bona fide local legend. Adam took the humble waffle, flipped it on its head, and topped it with everything from crispy fried chicken to gooey peanut butter and jelly, all while serving up a rotating lineup of local live music. At Funk N Waffles, every plate has a beat. Every bite comes with a melody. You may have seen the video we shot at Funk N Waffles about a year or so ago. It is on the Tattooed Traveler YouTube channel. The handle there is at the Tattooed Traveler, at the Tattooed Traveler. I had a lot of fun there. I ate some really good food there. And you can tell by that video that Funk N Waffles stands as a symbol of Syracuse's fun-loving, creative, and maybe slightly off-kilter spirit. From the first-time visitor stumbling in after a blizzard to the regular who's memorized every twist in the syrup selection, everyone has a story to tell within those walls. So I speak with Adam Gold himself. We're going to talk about how Funk N Waffles grew from a DIY party into the sweetest spot in Syracuse. Plus, you'll hear some stories from the heart of this resilient city and maybe even feel inspired to chase down your own offbeat food adventure. Adam, I have done my best to set the table, so to speak, here, so I will turn the microphone over to you. Welcome to Chug Chow. How would you describe, what is your elevator pitch when describing Funk N Waffles?
Oh boy. So Funk N Waffles, my elevator pitch would be, imagine a, breakfast restaurant that also has a music venue with live music every night. Medium-sized capacity, about 200 cap, full liquor bar, and yet all day from 9 a.m. to midnight, we're serving breakfast food in the form of sweet and savory waffles, that kind of break the boundaries of what you think of when you're thinking your average waffle.
Yeah, you certainly cross over the boundaries in the most delicious of ways. The plate that made me want to speak with you was the chicken parm waffle. And it's just that. It's chicken parm and a waffle. If I were on death row, Adam, I think you have just pegged what my last meal would be. And you that one and the jive turkey, which is turkey and stuffing and gravy poured generously over a waffle. Tough to beat, man. And the whole concept of this originated with you and one of your college buddies, right?
That's right. One of my best friends, Kyle Correa, we were going to SU, Syracuse University, and around the time of our junior year, we began to host some house parties in my basement, where my band at the time would play, and Kyle would get behind this little closet in the basement with a little window and a little kind of serving shelf, and he would I think I remember throwing down like $100. We went to the Wegmans, bought a bunch of Krusty's waffle mix and a couple candies on the way home. And we just basically made some silly waffles, just gave them away for free to everybody at the party. And for some reason, when it's 1:30 in the morning, there's a band playing original, instrumental, funky music with a sax and a trumpet and a keyboard player. And, it just became this vibe, and it smelled delicious, and it was so unique. We couldn't help ourselves. We just had to do it as much as possible, and it went from house party to cafe to live music venue pretty quick over the next several years.
And speaking of the music venue, I'm an old radio guy. I started my career on the FM dial in the great city of St. Louis, Missouri. Great music scene there. It seems like supporting the local music scene there in Syracuse is pretty important to you and your place.
100%. And I too spent 8 years doing live radio. I was a DJ on Saturday mornings and afternoons. So I love music and spreading the funky stuff all throughout the region. We do live music. Originally, it was 7 nights a week. Ever since a few years ago, when we had this little global pandemic that sort of changed our world, we've reduced our live music to 5 nights a week.
Yeah, I'm looking at your website right now. You've got a pretty impressive lineup. The website, by the way, is Funk N Waffles. Funk, the letter N, waffles.com. You're located there on South Clinton Street. From savory to sweet, vegan to meat, we have the food that will move your feet. The website says funknwaffles.com. Talk about your location there on South Clinton Street. You seem like you're right in the heart of a very creative, very progressive area, ideal for a restaurant like yours.
That's really kind. Yes, we are located in a National Historic District. So it's actually a part of a registry nationwide of historic areas. And so Armory Square is what you're referring to. And yeah, it's almost like a super tiny little Brooklyn village or something. It's 3 or 4 blocks wide. It encompasses, at least like 70% of all the, best shops and restaurants you can find for the city. And it's really a great area. It's walking distance. We got Soundgarden Records, which is just this amazing old school CD store selling vinyl and stuff. We got all our, most fantastic bars and restaurants. And so it is a great spot for people to bounce back and forth between our funky venue and restaurant and the other, things in town that we can offer at Syracuse.
Just to spotlight a couple of the other menu items here, you have the pulled pork waffle, which is a buttermilk waffle with pulled pork and dino barbecue sauce. You have the bacon brie and basil with an apricot marmalade on it, the Monte Cristo with ham, melted Swiss, and a fried egg. You have the all shook up, of course, for Elvis fans, a bacon stuffed buttermilk waffle with bananas, honey, and peanut butter. There is the meat lovers waffle, chicken tenders on top of the waffle, pulled pork, ham, turkey, bacon, and sausage on there. There's a falafel waffle. Try saying that quickly. You have a lot on here. The Florentine with spinach and feta, smoked salmon and sour cream on that. The jive turkey, as I mentioned, mashed potatoes, cranberry sauce, smoked turkey and gravy. Carry on my wayward spud. You got mashed potatoes on top of that one with a side of sour cream, green onions. But this chicken parm waffle, man, spaghetti on top of the waffle, marinara, chicken tenders, and melted mozzarella. There's your home run, brother.
Wow, that's very kind. I don't know if this little tidbit is helpful, but that chicken parm waffle was actually a recipe that was written by middle school students in a suburb outside of Syracuse. And they have like a home ec class, essentially, that features a Funk N Waffles curriculum. And so their home ec teacher gets the kids to make funky waffles, and then they bring me in to judge it with like the superintendent and the guidance counselor and like the security officer, and we sit there and we do like a mini Chopped, and sit and try the different waffles that the students put together. And that year when I tried the chicken parm waffle, I mean my mind was just completely blown instantly, and I said, you know what, this has got to go on the permanent menu. And it has ever since, and we've actually featured that waffle with Guy Fieri on an episode of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. It's all for those middle school students. If it wasn't for them, I don't think we'd ever have that waffle.
Well, they have my gratitude. I promise you that. I'm listening to you tell that story. You're appearing on these national television shows, getting all of this recognition. And it all started from a house party with your best buddy when you were in college. Now you've got this successful restaurant in a fun city like Syracuse. You're surrounded by delicious waffles and great funk music. Do you ever just sit back and think life is good?
I definitely think life is so good, buddy.
The American dream, man. You're living it. Great talking to you, Adam. Thank you for spending some time with us here, and I look forward to my next trip through Syracuse. Grab a cold one, plate of waffles, listen to some good music at your place.
All right, peace, buddy.
That will wrap it up for this episode of Chug and Chow. Thank you to Adam Gold for sharing the wonderful story behind Funk N Waffles and for showing us the recipe isn't just in the batter, it's in the spirit, the music, and the community that fill those Syracuse walls. I hope this episode inspired you to look twice at that next spot you may stumble upon, because you never know what flavors, stories, and hey, if you enjoyed this journey, please take a moment to subscribe to the Chug and Chow podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Drop us a little review too. Each rating and each review helps more listeners discover these amazing places. And together, you and I, my friend, can keep celebrating the people and the food that make America's towns tasty and unforgettable. And please do order a copy of my book, Chug and Chow, The Tattooed Traveler's 50 Favorite Dive Bars and Food Joints Across America. Each copy sold provides 10 meals to families experiencing food insecurity. That's thanks to our partnership with local food banks. It's a great way to keep the adventure going and to give back while you do it. You can order your copy of the book on Amazon or at chugandchow.com. Until next time, keep chasing the flavors, keep chugging, keep chowing, and most importantly, keep sharing that love. I'm Todd Newton, and until we meet again a little further on down the road, travel safely.
Chug and Chow is produced by the host with the most LLC. All rights reserved.